Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Rockingham Select Board special meeting, Monday, January 11th, 2021, 6:05. We're located in the Rockingham Town Hall Lower Theater, and we have a Zoom link for those who wish to attend that way. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda for routine administrative matters and/or pressing matters that will require ratification at a future meeting? Anything, Scott?
The only thing, and I know we've talked about this, if we want to talk about options for the town meeting, we are running up on some deadlines here fairly quickly. If we keep our March date, if you wanted to obviously push it out a month, that's certainly within your purview, or for, depending upon how you feel. But I know we talked about the last time, I think the warning needs to be finalized by the 28th, and she's got to get her ballots back and everything by the 10th if we're going to make our March date. So at this point, I guess that would be a point of conversation if we wanted to make a decision.
Was it warned already?
On the agenda there.
Number 4. Yeah. Okay, great. Anything else?
Nope, those are the only off-agenda items.
We need to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve minutes, December 15th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Are there any public comments on items that are not on the agenda?
I don't see any on Zoom.
Okay. Managers report.
I keep things here relatively light tonight because I know we've got some budget presentation, and we kept Andy here quite a long time the last time. So just a couple items. We did finalize a submission to the state for the plowing from the Christmas storms. So we will see if we get enough statewide damages and enough, if we hit thresholds, then hopefully we'll see some money coming back from some of the cost of that. We did have to hire some contractors. We had to spend some money on some road restoration, some gravel, and obviously we had a lot of equipment and overtime. So that's up being discussed and evaluated. And as that goes through this process, we'll certainly let you know how that comes back. And if we do get a declaration, we'll certainly let you know what might be coming back from the state. That was the only other item.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the agenda. Item number 1, Old Bellows Falls Garage Project Update. Elizabeth Bridgewater, Peter Paggi, Wyndham and Windsor Housing Trust. I don't see either of them here tonight.
We talked last week, and I think they were just going to come on to give you an update as to what they were proposing. We actually spoke on Friday, but I don't see either one here, so I'm not sure if they're having problems signing in. I can just sort of give you a brief discussion or indication of what they wanted to talk about. The proposal that was originally brought forward, that does have quite a bit of CDBG monies and other sources of funding, has to be modified because they did come up with some additional costs when they went out to bid. The numbers came back substantially higher than budget. So they've done some value engineering, made some changes. The total number of units is only changing by 1. I think originally it was proposed at 26 units. It's now being proposed for 27. There's some additional exterior renovation issues. You can see they've started taking the clapboard off the building. They were starting to do some analysis on concrete and some other, preliminary work to make sure that their current numbers are still good. So at some point, they might be coming back to us just to have a update to the CDBG funding, as well as any other discussion about the project itself. So that was basically what they wanted to give you an update on. The project is not stalled. It's basically moving forward. They just had to do a little bit of work to get it to this point, and then I think they will be back with a formal request to add some additional CDBG funds to help make their budgets.
And Mr. Jeff Dunbar just put in the chat that they had Wyndham Windsor Housing Trust had a meeting this afternoon. I think it said it's gone away. The meeting this afternoon with information that's probably available for those who are interested.
We'll try to get some updated information and get it posted on the website as well.
Okay, thank you. Number 2, budget. First up is rec. I don't see Ryan here yet. I do see Andy here. We'll go to item 2B. If you're ready, Andy. Sorry and thank you for waiting the other night.
No problem. Well, you guys have the paving thing in front of you at all? Did you guys see that? Okay.
Yeah, we did do a handout for that, Andy, so maybe we can start with that, and then we can sort of fill in the gaps on a few other items as well.
Yep. The only thing with the paving, pretty much all of it's going to be in Saxon River, so we have to let the trustees know out there so they can put money into their budget, because they're going to have to adjust all the sewer manholes out there. I mean, other than that,
Yeah, so
Any
basically
questions?
this is a continuation of the program that started, I think, in 2019. So, and then there was a 5-year program to sort of try to get through as much of the roads as possible, get them up to, a new standard. This will bring us and keep us in that 3rd year of that 5-year window. I think the thing that's important here is that when you look at the request, the total cost based on the breakdown, and Andy's gone out and done some field work, and we've done some additional estimating based on what we consider to be what we think the price is going to be on our asphalt, is roughly about $100,000 more than what we had typically proposed in budget. So I think you were basically doing $350 a year.
Yep.
To meet this number is roughly $450. If we want to continue on that path, we had talked about adding that as a specific item for discussion at the town meeting. Like I said, it'll keep you on track with that 5-year plan. And I think it's something that is obviously beneficial. Just to supplement that discussion, so paving is just one portion. I think the other portion that will continue the program with sidewalks. We've had, I think, a few areas that we have to do some additional work on where we've had to remove trees. I think Andy's also got a couple locations in Saxton's River, I think, that he was looking at that might need some update and replacement. So that current budget, I think we will maintain at its existing level. I don't think we're going to ask for additional funds for sidewalk work. The third piece of roads, which is, I think, probably the one that we get the most public reaction from, is our roads and ditches and culverts. And it's created a little bit of a problem just from a staffing standpoint. We are down a position. So when Andy puts out a crew to do ditches, he needs additional help for flaggers. So if we're going to go forward, we'd like to dedicate a crew for the entire spring and summer just to do ditch work and culvert work. In order to accomplish that, we're either going to have to go out and bid for 2 flaggers that'll, hopefully be eligible or available for him, or we'll have to look at trying to fill a position of some sort so that he can have that additional manpower to be able to work out in the road. Pretty much that'll take him between the paving, the sidewalks, and the ditch and culvert program. That pretty much takes him through his entire spring and summer. You know, knock on wood that we don't have any more 30-inch snowstorms, so we're not dealing with a whole bunch of additional equipment issues and plowing issues, but that pretty much gives you a status quo program with a little bit of additional monies if we're going to maintain the resurfacing program at the level that we had talked about. So that was one of the things that we wanted to bring to your attention. Andy's been working closely with the regional people on our general road permit and our erosion inventory so that we can start to focus on areas where we would be eligible for reimbursement if we do additional work. So that survey is almost complete. I think they worked with Andy in the fall, talked to Jeff Nugent recently. He's the person that we've been working through. He's hoping to have that done and then have that updated for us so that we're able then to concentrate on some more specific areas for restoration and areas that they're concerned about with drainage. So those will be more improvement projects. The other ditch projects, quite frankly, is just trying to get them as, getting them flowing as well as we can without major modification or changes. So that's really his program for the spring and the summer for next year. The only other budget impact that might be of a concern there is we've talked about our equipment inventory. Andy had 2 items on for equipment. One of them is a fairly significant piece of equipment. It does one of the major routes in the town in terms of plowing, and he uses an old 2002 truck for that. So Andy, you want to talk a little bit about that maybe?
Yep. Well, years past, we used to plow with the grader and we took the, now we don't. So we cut the position, and now Wally, the mechanic's stepping up and he's plowing that run, pretty much Brockway Mills, Gas Hills, Lower Bartonsville, Upper Bartonsville, the Cambridge Port Road, all the way up to the town line. And he's doing it with a 2-ton pickup because we're not using the grader anymore because we eliminated that position. And the 2-ton is a 2002 International. In the summertime, it's our chloride truck. We use it for chloriding. We got a tank that goes in the back for when we're grading. We use that for chloriding the dirt roads.
Well, why did we eliminate the grader?
Why did we eliminate it?
Yeah, we're not plowing with that anymore.
I don't have anybody. If I put somebody in the grader, then the truck's parked. So it makes, because we've eliminated a position.
That Glenn was the grader operator, no?
No, Scott Bingham is. Glenn took my spot here in Bellas Falls.
No, I just trying to, I don't know what changes you made. That's why.
Yeah, no, there's been a lot of changes.
I was seeing the grader out plowing. That's why I was just.
Yep, no, we don't plow with the grader because we eliminated a position. So in the summertime, the guy that's in the grader now in the wintertime gets in the dump truck.
Okay, no, just asking.
Yep.
The other question I got is on this paving budget, you've got some milling costs on another page for about 36.8. Is that in addition to the 450?
Yes, that's an addition.
Okay.
Yep. And there was the other thing we could do is we could cut out Oak and Acorn Street if we, it was a possibility to cut those out to cover the milling cost.
Okay.
That was an option. And also, just so you're aware, we're going to do it. We're going to reconstruct the beginning of Hartley Hill, the blacktop section. We're going to dig that down and, put all new material in, along with Hatfield Lane, which is off of Pleasant Street. We're going to reconstruct that as well before we pave. The town will do it.
So on the question, Scott, if we're going to put this in as a item on the town warrant for the town meeting, would we put it down as the 450,000 with 350 to be used out of the budget already? So we're actually be only asking for another 100 grand. Just trying to figure out numbers.
Yeah, I think that's a fair number because we can take the milling costs within some of his existing budget. This is just purely, we wanted to give you the paving just strictly on proposal for roads and location. So that piece I think we can absorb within his operating budget, the extra 36. And then, again, he's got materials cost as he works through the summer with ditches and other gravel, different types of things. But those I think we can cover in our general budget. I think our biggest concern is just the level of effort when we go out, because we've got to bid obviously we've got to bid the amount of proposed paving, as well as I think the other thing we have to do is a chip seal contract as well, which we have to put out in the spring as well. So there's just some timing issues about that if we're, taking them forward, just so we know quantities.
So Scott, Andy, what happened to Center Street? That we, for some reason or other, got put off
Yeah.
last year, and
Because we added some other stuff up on Grizzle Drive, and there was a couple sections on Brockways we added on. That's why we, Everett, before he left, he said scrap that for this year or for this past year. That's why we can put it back on. I would love to see it done.
There was a question, Oak and Acorn are in Saxon River, and the answer is correct. Yes, but just about every street on this list is in Saxon River, isn't it?
Yes. Yep. And I'm thinking we might be able to get a better deal because everything is out there. They won't have to pick up and move several different times.
Nothing in the village here?
No.
Now, if we do some work, it'll just be in the square around the proposed memorial. We had talked about some issues with that project, but I think that's something that we're still working on those final plans to bring those forward. That should not be a significant amount of money to do some additional curb and a little asphalt work with that. Maybe some sidewalk work if we have to do some extensions.
And another thing, we did not finish Hyde, Bramley, and Top of Pond Road still are on the list to be paved that was carried over from this past year.
right.
Yeah, there was some money set still that'll carry over for that.
Yep. That'll be done before July 1st.
Right. And then we'll close out that project.
Let me ask if I may. I think, not sure where the both of you guys were going with it, but you mentioned about equipment earlier at one point.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the 2002 truck, which you use for chloride in the summer.
Yep.
So you're using that in the winter now, where
Yes.
it was parked
Yep.
parked during the winter before?
Yep. Yeah. Wally would use it here and there, mainly
Okay.
just to plow lower Bartonsville to get across, because
Yep.
that truck is such a small truck, you can go across
Right.
the bridge with it.
So
That was primarily what that was used for, just to
Yep.
do lower Bartonsville. But now it's being
the grader's sitting
Yep.
idle then?
Yep,
Okay.
the greater
So let me
Sentinel.
ask you, because it sounds like you're thinking, the talk is the possibility of a purchase of another truck. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I think we're going to have to look at a couple options. We did talk about what's out there in the used inventory. Andy's done some preliminary work. There's quite a few trucks that come off a lease, but a lot of those are spoken for. So we're going to have to see if we can wedge our way in somewhere and get into a list where we can get a truck off a lease, where we might be able to get it at a reduced price.
Right.
Just talking to some of the guys locally, a lot of those are already spoken for.
Yeah,
So there's already waiting lists.
When towns trade a truck in, there's a waiting list for, like Town of Chester, they keep their truck for 5 years. There's a waiting list.
Yeah.
Their trucks are already sold. Even
Yeah.
though they're running them right now, they're already gone when they trade them in.
Yeah.
So we're going to do
Yeah.
some work and see if we can find some option
Right.
for that.
Are you looking at it for something that can go over that bridge also? Or how are you looking at it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which a six wheeler, if you load, as long as it's not heavy, you can go across to half load,
Right. Yeah.
just enough to get through the bridge, go out, do your thing, and come back,
Right. Okay.
What was on the schedule for next year for the equipment?
Two
Wasn't there a
things.
truck on there or no?
He had a pickup, which was, I think, a crew cab pickup.
No, just a single 1-ton.
Or was that the single?
Yep,
Okay,
Ford,
my
it's
bad.
2010 Ford 1-ton. It was up for replacement, and then a 2014 six-wheel international or Freightliner was
Right.
scheduled.
So it's basically one truck and one pickup.
And what about this current fiscal year? This current fiscal year, what's on the list? Has it all been purchased?
Yes, this past year we bought
We get two 10-wheelers.
no, just one, a 10-wheeler and a
Wreck
trailer.
the other one. Right?
What's that?
Didn't we wreck the other one? And
That was
got
insurance
replaced?
paid. Yeah, that was 2019. That was, yep. And another thing is in the coming year after this year, you're looking at three things to replace: the 2015 Freightliner, the 2002 case loader, and a 2013 pickup. And the, future, the following year. Just a heads up.
So depending upon what we look at in budget, obviously we'll have to, take a hard look at that because that's a substantial amount of money for capital for that, for those three items. So we're just, at the moment that's on the replacement schedule, we'll have to see as we get closer where we are financially, where the equipment is in terms of reliability and cost. And then if it, if there's alternatives, we'll certainly take a look to make sure, because that's a pretty heavy hit for 1 year for the capital.
So I'll ask the question just to get it out on the table for general discussion, but seeing we're on the highway section here, we're probably down to where we're gonna be at to get by. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, my concern is, again, trying to get some of this just routine staffing, seasonal staffing. And we're at a point now, if a guy goes out, I don't have a replacement. He's got every route covered when we have a major storm and the two snow and the two sidewalk plows, but we have we don't have anybody else. So when a guy goes out for surgery, which we've had a couple of instances with guys on comp, we don't have any backup. So we're trying to get guys from the village. Sometimes we can get some people, other times we're not so successful. So that's really the concern. And then once we don't have enough manpower to cover the routes, now you're into a catch-up problem. In a smaller storm, we can get by. In a storm like we had around Christmas, once you're behind on a route, you're not catching up, not on a storm like that. So that's one of the challenges with the staffing model that we've got right now. As it is, we might have to go out and ask for contractor bids for March and the rest of the winter, depending upon the surgery dates, and we're going to lose one of our guys for the period. So his route we might have to put out and see if we can get any bids, just to see if we can get enough drivers to cover it for the balance of the winter. We'll see what those numbers come back at, see if it makes sense. But that would start in March.
Yep.
Right now that's scheduled.
Yep.
He's scheduled to be out starting in March.
It'll be a year.
Yeah, it'll be a year for the surgery and the rehab.
Yeah, the reason I'm just curious is because right now it looks like we might be looking at an 8-cent tax increase, if I'm not. You got 205. If you look at the proposed taxes that are on this budget sheet, you're looking at 2.5 in the general fund and another 2.5 in highway, rounding the numbers. That's 205,000 on the highway increase and $204,000 increase in general budget. Expenses are down, but the revenue isn't keeping, I mean, we're not, I don't know where we're losing our revenue, I guess. And we're trying to make taxes. Yeah, jump in, Shan, because you and I talked about this once before, but.
So what I'd like to propose, if the board's comfortable with this, is asking them to approve the general and the highway as a level funded budget and approve the numbers. And then the staff, myself and the manager, will reduce expenses where necessary or do whatever we need to do to ensure that we remain level funded over last year.
Okay, now I know we've talked about the tax sale stuff. We have 50,000 in this budget right now, earmarked for that. And you were planning on taking that out, which is fine, but are we going to be able to use that for the Depot Street Bridge reserve so we can start putting money aside for that rather than borrowing that money at the time?
We have a number of things that we can do internally to level fund this and still fund the bridge. Okay. So removing the tax sale expense, we would put in estimated revenues for COVID reimbursements. there's a variety of different things, but if the board didn't want to go through line by line and wanted to let the staff decide where to allocate funds to, if you wanted to approve a level funded budget, we could just go forward from there, because as far as a motion and accepting the budget, it's just the the amount that we're going to collect from taxes and total expenses.
Well, maybe Shannon, one way to put that is if we do take that 50,000, if you want to dedicate that towards a bridge reserve, maybe that's sort of where Peter's trying to get to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the bridge is going in what, 2023, 2022? 23, I think it is.
Yeah, the last thing we looked at, our share at 5% is roughly 172,000 on the
Yeah,
last,
so
on the last
if we put 50 in there
correspondence.
Now, in the next couple of years, we're almost there, and we don't have to borrow when it comes time to. do it.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, it's prudent. It makes sense to start that process.
Yeah, and what about the fund balance, Shannon? Was there any, I assume you're probably gonna take that into account when you get around to it, but I hate to keep robbing that thing all the time, turn around.
Yeah, while Ryan speaks to his budget, so we don't keep him on here, I will get those figures and then I'll have them for after the rec discussion.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see when you get done with what you, if we decide to have the staff do the, come up with a budget and stuff rather than go line by line like we're used to doing. Like to see what the tax impact is gonna be before we adopt the budget for town meeting. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
I would feel comfortable knowing that ahead of time, yeah.
Well, I guess maybe so we're still talking operating budget. Do you guys have anything else for Andy, or we can? I mean, that's pretty much the program.
Not for Andy, but for Shannon. Yeah, just for Shannon regarding the 100,000 that we're looking for the paving. Is that something that would be able to come out of the fund balance? I mean, I don't know where that stands for highway right now. I mean, I wouldn't want to lower it from where we are at this point, which is like.
Yeah, so my thought process behind the paving was to leave the 350 for which we've been doing in the budget and create an article for the additional 100,000 and have the residents vote at town meeting on the additional 100,000.
Right, but is that additional 100 that will be taxed, or is there money in the fund balance that we would be asking them to move over into paving?
So we can write the article either way. There is substantial money in both the general and the highway fund balance. And I'll give you those figures momentarily.
Okay.
And
Only
I think,
because they did vote to put in that money for last year, 115. So I don't know where that was used. And if that's available, I would say that would roll into the paving budget.
That was the
Yeah.
engineer.
Yeah, so you're, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So Susan, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So the money that they put in for the public works director, so
Yes.
for the additional 100,000 for the paving, we would just move over from the highway general fund.
Right, yeah, I know,
Yep.
but I'm just saying there is money there
Oh, there's
as opposed to adding 2 cents to the tax rate.
absolutely.
So are you saying now that we could direct staff to level fund and not include this $100,000 article? Is that what you just said?
we'd have to level fund with a transfer from fund balance, but yes, that could be done.
And in this discussion, it's kind of separate. Well, first, let anyone have anything else for Andy? No, right?
No.
Thank you very much, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
You guys.
Thanks, Andy.
Now, just back to that topic real quick. And before we move on from highway, all I can see is a little red thing when someone types. So in a minute, I'll give the public a chance if they have any questions for highway, what we've discussed so far, because I can't read what you type. But I want to, at some point, talk about including economic development position to full-time in this level funded budget without an additional $100,000 article for additional paving.
So we have $725,000 in our highway fund balance at the end of FY 20.
Okay.
And so anything that we save this fiscal year, because we will be under budget, will just increase that fund balance. So we have plenty of money in the highway fund balance.
Okay. And it's the, I'm in favor of full-time for Mr. Fox. Would we have to have a discussion or a vote on that? And that would be included in your proposal of level funded?
So in our proposal of level funded for the general fund, that would bring the development director full-time.
Because we kind of saw in detail at the joint board what we will benefit in addition to the added hours for him to do his job.
Yeah, so, and we have 450 in the general fund balance at the end of FY 20. And again, we will be contributing to fund balance because we are projected to come in well under budget for general fund this year too. But level funding the general fund, we would be allocating funds to bring the development director on full-time.
Okay.
What's the percentage that they recommend that we should be having in the fund balance? I just like to make sure we're not gonna, infringe on that.
Sure. So the recommendation, depending on whom you speak to, is anywhere from 14 to 25% of your annual expenses. So when you look at highway, you don't want 14 to 25% of any projects or paving or anything like that. It's just the necessary functions as the highway. And I have those figures too.
600 and something.
Thank you. Do you know what the projected estimate to be adding to the fund balance might be? I know it's probably, well, maybe it's early. It's only 6 months in.
Yeah, it's early.
Susan, do you have any other? Oh, sorry.
Just a question again on, well, going back to the general fund, are we in that?
Not quite.
Not yet? Okay.
Not quite.
All right.
Not quite.
Yeah,
I
so
think
And-
you brought up Gary, so I didn't know if we were talking about anything else.
It was just an overview of the highway and general level funding, directing the staff. But
Right.
I want to
but I
see if
just said-
yep.
Well, no, then the only other thing is, yeah, I support Gary going full-time. The executive assistant position, is that in the budget as full or part-time? I just don't see it possible as a part-time position, finding someone to fill that position part-time.
yeah, we the manager and I have been discussing it, and I think Scott's thoughts are that we will have a hard time finding somebody part-time. So to either use someone who is currently part-time and add hours to their schedule, and or share the position but bring it on as a full-time. And like I said, accepting level funding for the budget, we could, as management, move things around to accommodate. But just to get back to you guys, so the highway fund balance, you would want to do approximately 600,000. So you'd want 15% would be 360,000 and 25% would be 600,000. Or I'm sorry, 25% would be 600,000 that you want in your fund balance if you wanted 600,000 in there. For highway, that's not advised. If something were to happen, we'd be eligible for FEMA or things of that nature for the highway.
All right, but even taking that 100,000 out of the 725, we're good. And that doesn't include what's going to be coming in from this fiscal year we're currently in.
That's correct. And then for general fund,
It also doesn't include the article from last year, right?
that's
I
correct.
thought it was 130, not 115.
119.5 is what,
119.5. So that also doesn't include that, Susan. The highway fund right now, the number she gave us.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Okay.
And
And
then
then,
general fund, if we were to have 15% in the fund balance, it would be 420,000. If we were to have 25%, it would be 700,000.
anything else from the board on highway? Anyone, any public questions? Could ask them now. I can't see anything you've typed. Unless Shannon thinks we've answered them. I can't see the,
Deb had asked if Oak and Acorn and Saxon's River were scheduled on the paving, but I think you answered her. She said thank you.
that's Saxton's River, all those, that's the Oak Street and Saxon's River. Yes.
And then I don't see anybody else asking
Okay.
questions or raising their hand currently.
Great. We'll hear from Ryan if you're ready.
I'm ready.
You're up. Ohio State by 14.
hey, nasty.
I like that a lot.
Oh, come on, it's gonna be good. We gotta be.
All right, Ryan, you're
Yeah, we
on.
gotta hustle up.
No pressure.
No pressure.
What happened to the Steelers yesterday?
Do you have any discussion? You want to run us through anything, Ryan?
No, I mean, it's basically the same thing as it has been the last few years. So no big changes and just the same type of budget we've been presenting the last few years. So
Do you see any savings with or offset from revenue to savings with staff and closing time, or how's that looking for you?
we'll have a lot of savings this year of staff because we didn't do a lot of programming. So a lot of hours, a lot less hours this past year. But hopefully we'll be back to normal for next year. So
Where will that affect your revenue though? Less staff, less programs. Have you figured that out?
for this year or next year?
Next year.
Spring and summer, Ryan, is really what.
I'm hoping to be open all spring, so I think we'll be fine there. So we'll be able to do our programming, continue our program for the spring, and then go roll right into summer. So I think, and as long as I believe we'll have less restrictions for next summer, I would believe. I'm hoping. But if we have the same programs we got to run through the state, we probably won't be able to run our day camp that we make a lot of money through and provides a lot of staff hours. So that would affect that again next year. But that would be the only really thing that would be affected would be my summertime camp.
Well, Ryan, maybe just to give a sense of timing. So I'm assuming that, the state keeps giving us updates, but nobody's really giving any solid dates in terms of when we're moving into the next phase,
Correct.
of the current declaration. So if we're still in this phase by May 1st, what does that do to your summer programming in terms of your staff, and then what you can do for signups and offerings? So maybe we'll just start there and then we can work our way from there.
In essence, it's we'll be able to do kind of what we did this past summer. But it all depends on what I'm able to do. Right now we can hold so many things outside. It's not only the biggest thing is it'll affect our day camp really. Because I believe we'll be able to have as of right now, we can do clinics for outdoors. We can do, you know, we can do the drive-ins. The swimming pool will be able to stay open. The biggest thing is just not having our day camp, really, as of right now.
So from a timing standpoint, when is the latest that you can go with the, you know, the program that you would say we'd have a normal program, and the latest you'd go where we say, well, we can't do it going forward, that it's too late? Is that June 1st? Just to give the board a sense of when this thing might be, if we have to give an update in terms of, you know, where we're going to be offering programming.
I usually try to put all my programming in by the middle of May and get that out. So I would say by then. That's why I try to get all my information. I can get a good sense of where we will be by then, by talking to other rec directors throughout the state. We have a email link that we talk to each other on constantly. And there's a couple people that really bend the ear of the state people up there and kind of know what's really going on, what to expect, you know, before it's really released. So we kind of get a little jump start there. But I would say, so May would be the earliest I would be, or the latest I would be able to express anything going on. And then we could be able to roll with anything that gets modified throughout the summer.
Okay. So, you know, we'll anticipate a normal opening for facilities, a normal programming, and then if it's not, then we'll come back by May and just give an update as to what the status is and where things are going to go. It might be pushed out to July. It's just hard to tell at this point. Nobody's giving us really good target dates, I guess is the right word, for the future. So we're sort of rolling, you know, in 2 or 3 week increments here at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, and when they usually give you, it's usually last minute, and it can be vague, so you have to really shoot from the hip, and it's just like the same thing with schools right now. It's just, you know, it's week to week, but I think we'll know more by April, I would say, especially now since vaccines are getting out. I think they'll have more of a plan of how they're going to treat summer, I believe, through the state, since they already went through it once.
Facilities wise, Ryan, are there any things that the that the board needs to be aware of for any capital work or any other kinds of repairs or updates that we need to do prior to the spring or summer?
Next, I talked to Andy at the end of the fall, beginning of winter. We're going to probably look into redoing the other half of the swimming pool water lines there. It's not going to be super expensive. We should be okay budget wise. Couple of having the guys do it in town. They have a couple guys, I think, still on board that did it last time, and it's not as extensive as the last one. It's only going to be, I think, it's going to be cutting the other half, but I say the other half, but it's really only about probably a third. They already did 2/3 of the replacement of the other stuff. So that's the only big thing that needs to be looked at, because they're starting to lose water.
Okay.
And I think it started losing a little bit of water last year, but not bad where I would have to refill every 3 to 4 days. Not like it was in the past where I had to fill it daily. But so I just want to get to it before it does become a big problem.
Okay, but other things, filters, other major stuff, the lights are all in good shape. There's no other major updates that we need to bring the board along with, so.
No, the building's good. The heater's good now. Got fixed and it's been replaced. The new pump's helping out up here, keeping the propane off and as much as possible, and it's good up here. Ski toe is all set now. The rope got respliced and runs pretty good, and ice rink is ready to go tomorrow. Actually, that might be one thing. I got to repair the ice rink for next year. When I got vandalized there a couple weeks ago, a few holes got punched into it. So I patched it up as best I can as it was sitting there, but I did order a bunch of tape to try to repair it before I stored it for the summer.
Okay.
But those, if I have to get a new one of those usually are not as bad. I've had it for, I believe, 8 years. I believe I paid around $2,000 for it, but they're not that expensive anymore. So
Well, we're targeting March
Yeah.
to sort of review where we stand with COVID protocols for things like the Opera House and how we're going to try to do some stuff for programming for that. And I imagine we'll do an update at the same time for recreation. And then depending upon where we stand, we'll have to probably go monthly and see where we are in April and see again where we are in May. So unfortunately, we just don't have real good solid targets to point to and program to. So
Mhm.
I guess we'll just have to be as flexible as we can. You'll have to if we do get the green light, you'll have to ramp up and program and get materials and staff fairly quickly. That's going to sort of have to be the way this is going to operate.
100%. I should be good.
Okay.
I don't have anything else. Anything?
No, we're good.
Susan?
All set, thanks.
Peter?
No.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank
Roll
you, Ryan.
Tide.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Go Tide.
All right. We want to come back to the general fund. Do you want, are people interested in a motion of sorts to
I guess
level fund with
maybe
the things we've talked about?
when Shannon comes back, did she give you the current general fund
Yep.
fund balance?
Yes, she did.
She did.
Yeah,
Okay. I wasn't sure that everybody got that. Okay.
450, I believe.
Current, and then we have the things that should carry over for
Right.
Yes.
both, plus the savings.
Yes.
So it seems simple to me to just suggest what we direct staff to level fund with the additions and wait for it to come back, and then we could possibly approve it, rather than having 4 more of these meetings and asking 300 questions.
Do we need it? I don't think we need a motion, just a consensus of the
Yep.
board to let them.
I would like
Give us
to
a
see
sense
that
of your
happen.
direction. We'll go from there.
I would like to see that happen. Stefan?
Yeah,
Stefan would like,
that alleviates the,
Peter?
some of that 8 cents there.
Susan?
Yep, that's fine.
Peter?
And when do we have to make the final budget approval, or that's what we're
Oh,
figuring out
depending-
next?
depending on number 4 might determine that, really.
Okay,
Yeah. That's
The way I see it, I don't know.
if you keep March the 3rd, if you keep the current date.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what I would propose is that we come to you with our changes in a level funded budget for your next select board meeting. You
Right.
could make a motion and approve all the articles, and we could be done, well, it's next Tuesday, actually. And then depending on what you're doing, either way, regardless, we would be prepared for March or April.
Okay. Might moving that to the other January Tuesday, because that's only 8 days away. Would that be more helpful for you guys? And still leave us time?
that is the other January.
Yeah. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah. We're out of time.
Jeez.
If that's the case, I would suggest we go to April. To
Well,
give you more
I mean,
time.
think about the time you need, because we have not had a special meeting for budget season this year, which we
Right.
typically used to meet Saturdays consistently.
Yeah,
So
I
we
know.
always could if you guys need the time. Like, I don't think we're in a rush to get it done by the 19th. Does anyone
We-
else feel?
We
Here we
will
are.
be, we are in a position to have it and be prepared
Excellent.
to present it to you on the 19th if you'd like.
Sounds great. Thank you. Anything else? Moving along to item 3. Could have sworn we did this, but
Yeah, we need to ratify Kelly Tully as the energy.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I would I would move that we would ratify the motion made at the last meeting to appoint Kelly Tully to the Conservation Committee, the energy portion only as requested.
Seconded.
Motion has been made and seconded to ratify the vote to appoint Kelly Tully, Energy Commission. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Number 4. Decide whether to hold a town meeting in March or April. Really quite follow this one because, Peter, you go ahead. Was it warned? Was it in the newspaper?
There were 2 articles. One was a press, I guess, a news article in there that named the dates of March 1st and as the town meeting day and the voting day to follow. And then there's an ad in the shopper minus a warning. There's no warning been issued in either one of them. So I think it may have been just in there for information only that people have the deadlines to get their consent forms or whatever. They don't need petitions this year to run for office. But I think the petition that rumored to be out there for the library, I think that has to be in on a certain date, but the rest of it, they don't, unless that's also been waived. I'm not sure. I didn't see anything about that.
Well, there's supposed to be a meeting to potentially update the town meeting statewide, you know, the parameters up in Montpelier today, or tomorrow rather. And then I don't believe there's anything on there that would necessarily create any major changes. It's more, you know, the Australian ballot.
So besides the date, at what point do we have discussion or make a decision on Australian ballot?
We should do that as soon as possible.
That would also, I mean, you guys could make all of your decisions next week for the town meeting, the Australian ballot, the budget. We could present all of the motions for you at one meeting.
And then it would have to be warned accordingly.
So
Right.
let's discuss it for a minute, can we, or you want to just wait till then?
No. we
Yeah,
can do it now.
discuss
That
it,
way
get it
if you
on
need
table now,
information,
give
we
some
can-
ideas.
I'm very much in favor of Australian ballot. That's my opinion. And I'm also in favor of the March meeting.
Okay.
That's my.
Same
I like-
here.
I like the March meeting. The only thing is with the ballot, which I'm not saying I have an issue with that. I'm just saying in the event it goes to, or fails, we'll have to come back.
Well, that's.
I don't have any
It's
issues. I'm
democracy.
just saying that's so people are aware of that.
Yep. I think you'll get a. Yep. Go ahead.
Would there
Is
be
it-
some kind of Zoom meeting for the town meeting?
Absolutely.
How would that work? Yeah.
Absolutely, and we already
Okay.
have it set up and we're reviewing it to make sure that it's legal, but we already have the ID, the times, everything set up. The only thing that would change is if you guys move from March to April, but we want to be prepared in the event you choose to do it earlier. But yes, there will be a Zoom meeting.
And I guess my understanding is we also, as part of the Australian ballot process, have to have an informational hearing. So the select board would have 10 days prior to the actual town meeting. And really, that's just an opportunity for people to come and discuss articles and get information prior to the actual town meeting date. So
That's in Act 162. You found this information?
that is in this 17 VSA. I'm looking at section, I think it's 280 or 2680, excuse me. Yeah.
Your microphone is so fuzzy.
I'm sorry. I probably need to put my mouth closer.
Peter, any comments?
No, I think you need to pull it away.
Oh, I'm sorry. There you go.
Don't give us
Oh,
any
so much
ideas.
better.
Thank you. I could put it all the other side of the room if that would help. So yeah, that would be the only other requirement.
So what you just said was that we would have 2 meetings, a town meeting, and then on the Monday before the vote, and an informational meeting 10 days before then. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, that was part of the requirement.
No, I think the informational
I don't see
meeting
that.
is on the articles is before the
Correct.
town meeting.
Correct.
Yeah, but the town meeting you're not doing any votes, but that's generally the informational meeting is town meeting.
Yeah.
Where you discuss all your articles. And I
Yeah.
agree with you. The only problem I have with Australian ballot voting is that if it's voted down, if the budget doesn't vote down, gets voted down, then you come back and
Right.
you got to redo everything again, and then it's just a cost of redoing the voting stuff.
Yeah.
'Cause I know several years ago the school did that, and we had 3 votes on that, and they never changed the budget. They just keep throwing the same number at people, and finally they just got frustrated and said, "The heck with it," and voted in anyway.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Doesn't make a difference to me. It's just that's the only caveat I have against
Yeah.
Australian voting is that.
But I
don't have-
think if we hit taxpayers with a level funded budget, I think chances of that are probably pretty slim.
I agree.
But
I think there's other stuff so anyways, I think, I'm in favor of it. And I think you'll get a bigger turnout of sorts to folks who,
Well, the village tried that and they didn't get a bigger turnout. So,
that's the village.
well, I'm just saying.
But,
But
if that happens, then we go back to work. I mean, it happened in the village a few years ago, but that's, I think that's part of the deal. So we don't have to make
yeah,
that.
and I don't think we can ask people to come to town meeting under COVID and vote
I
at
don't
the
think that's
meeting.
fair. Yeah. A lot of
It's
people
not
don't.
fair. And unless you could do it via Zoom, which you can't, I think
Lost your mic, Sue.
Lost Susan.
Damn
I
it.
said if you can't do it via Zoom, a vote, so you have to do it this way. And I
Yes.
don't think we can bring people into town. People won't show up. There'll be even smaller number of people who show up than normal.
I agree. So we're good on that. We can finalize all of that
So
on the 19th.
we'll finalize the articles on the 19th. And then the warning will have to be done by the clerk by the 28th and posted. And then the other thing we'll have to do is the informational meeting, which we'll have to pick a date for that sometime in late February.
So we're going to have an actual warning to look at on the 19th
Yes.
to approve.
Sample warning or sample
Yes, I
art.
think we'll have the art. Yeah, we'll have them prepared as
Yeah.
right, at least the language.
Okay.
Okay. Number 5, town clerk review of due dates.
Which is basically what you just went through.
That's what you were just
Right.
talking about when we have to have stuff done. What about the town report? Where do we stand on that? Is that has to be available out? I think it has to be available 10 days before voting.
Yeah,
Or-
so we'll have to have that.
I'm on it. I'm already constructing it. I have all the department heads reports. And then the budget obviously goes in, but I am in process of completing that, and I have dates from the printer, so that is in motion.
And we can get that, Shannon, before the February informational meeting. So I think we're good on timing.
Yeah, absolutely. I did it last year, so this year should go a bit smoother.
Okay. So then, town hall update. Number 6.
Yeah, so we have a couple items that we did receive.
Scott, your mic is awful.
You want this one?
Grab a new one.
Let me put it, is it better the farther away it goes?
Yeah, and don't touch it.
All right, I'll leave it alone. It's just normally what you
Okay.
can't hear when it's
No,
far.
thank
So
you.
I'll try not to overwhelm the mic. So we have a couple of items that we're finalizing. If you remember, you had approved previously a Windows project that we were working on we had done one floor of windows. We have the second floor, which we needed to complete. Working with the contractor on some dates and costs for that. We do have some money that was already budgeted for that, so that's underway. I'm hoping that if the weather cooperates, that could start early in the spring, so we could have that work done before the heat of the summer and get those windows and sashes and everything updated. The roof, we do have some money that
I
came in.
have a question about that. Is anyone aware? So we paid someone a lot of time and material to make temporary sashes when we did, when the second floor was done. Do we know if we saved those sashes and will they indeed, in fact, work in the next phase?
I don't know if the ones that were previously constructed will work, or we're just gonna do something with some temporary, quite frankly, just some plywood, you know, and just sort of,
Maybe just check into that because he like, a lot of work went into the temporary ones.
yeah, I will find out what the status of those is. We did talk about it. I don't know if they're still available, but I will find that out. Okay. On the roof itself, we have a meeting scheduled, trying to finalize with Chuck and myself and a couple of other pieces of information about the flat roof, and then I will get back to you with a final proposal on what we can afford to do, and what we would recommend to do based on the flat roof for a summer project. We did get some money reimbursement back, so we're looking at using some of that money to help do this roof project. And I'm hoping that we can get enough area covered that most of the reimbursement can cover the membrane that we're trying to fix.
Last time this discussion came up when I was on this board, Carrie was here and I went in her office and she got me all the numbers and work orders of locations of the sections that had been done. So hopefully you guys have all that, because
I do, but I also have proposals from 2019 and 2020 that were not done.
Yeah.
Only small.
So it's just quite a bit had been replaced when the discussion came up the last time.
Right.
Just
So,
hope we have that information for your guys' work.
yeah, so we will finalize what is the actual scope, so I will have that for you.
Okay.
The next time we meet.
Thank you.
And then Chuck is still working on the numbers for the clock face and the lighting in the tower. We have some preliminary numbers. I'm hoping that when we have the roof numbers, we'll have his numbers as well, so we can present that to you as a comprehensive sort of look at all of the different projects, cost, and hopefully give you a plan that makes sense. So that is coming.
Good question. Did they get more dim, the lights in the tower? Remember?
Yeah,
The one facing looks a little dimmer. I don't know why.
I don't know, something got knocked over. I haven't seen it myself, but if it was of the description I read, where one white paint reflection, I wonder if everything's aiming in the right direction.
Yeah, Chuck was up there last. I'll have to ask him.
Send him up about 5 of 11.
So he gets a nice 11 dings in
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I'll make sure. He has earmuffs now, so I think he's learned.
Any questions on that, Susan?
Nope, I'll sit.
Okay, so we need to review agenda items for next meeting, which we've covered quite a bit of, unless anything else additionally comes up.
I will also, I was due financials to you, but because of audit and budget and all of that, I'm presenting them to you in the second meeting of the month, so I also have financials.
At that meeting?
Correct, yes.
I mean, I could even wait personally if we have a lot of other stuff to do.
If you can wait, that's great, but if anyone would like to see them, I will make that happen.
Okay.
The only other item that I'll have is I'll have a Better Places grant application for the Memorial Park. for lighting improvements. That grant application is due by the 22nd. So I wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to look at it. Have any questions or concerns? We're working with a host of people on those improvements at the memorial, some design elements and some final decisions, and so we can start some of the process. This potentially would be a $10,000 or $12,000 grant just to buy the lighting. We're working with quite a few donated contractors to help us with install and some other things, but this will buy lighting so we can light the new tree, as well as lighting for the flag, and then some pedestrian level bollard type of lighting, kind of like what you saw up at the credit union. People seem to like that sort of view, that look, so we're trying to sort of reproduce that. So that'll help us move towards that. So that'll be on for your information. I might need a letter of recommendation as well for the 19th.
There's also a variety of liquor licenses to be approved, so I will send those through in advance, but there is a number of them.
Okay, thank you. And then anything else that comes up, we'll get it on there. We need to review agenda items for the next joint board meeting, which we don't have a date right now. Anything, write something down if it's on your mind for that next joint board meeting. Need to review and approve orders, bills, and warrants.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve orders, bills, and warrants. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes. Other business. Susan.
Just a question, maybe someone knows the answer. Has there been a rabies clinic scheduled? Because it's going to get to that time where we have to do the dog registrations. Does anyone?
Let me
was
ask
anyone-
Sean real
Kathleen
quick.
started on that. Do we know?
I do not know. I think Shannon said she's going to check with Chief Guinness, and then we could probably, Scott can also help find
Yeah.
out.
I mean, I can get that answer next week. I don't need it. I don't need the answer right now. Just people have to start thinking about that.
That usually
as
goes through the
time
Town-
ticks away.
Town clerk. Yeah, I'm
town
not sure.
clerk. I think because of COVID, that was hit a bump in the road last year. So I would imagine we're at the same bump in the road this year.
Other towns have scheduled theirs, so
Okay. Did it not happen last year? It was scheduled to and then got canceled, right? At the firehouse? We're going to do a walkthrough thing, and then it never happened?
I think, I don't recall, but
You're
I
frozen,
believe
Susan.
so.
Yeah, okay. Stefan?
I think it happened. I don't remember. I don't remember.
At this time, we do not currently have a rabies clinic scheduled. So I will group everyone together and get that going, Susan. Thank you.
All right. Stefan?
we're good at this time.
Peter?
Yeah, there's the storefront up here. I noticed, like, must be the window must have got broken or something, or
Yeah, we had a vandalism event, so the insurance company's been notified.
And nothing from me, except thank everyone for all their hard work once again.
Hey,
Yes.
Gaetano, real
Yes.
quick. There are multiple deliveries of masks, so if anybody needs them, fire station, police station, or town hall, we have received another batch of them.
Masks,
Face mask.
cloth mask. Okay,
Correct, yep.
where? Here and the fire station?
Town hall, Bellows Falls Fire Station, and Bellows Falls Police.
Excellent. Thank you. No executive session. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night. Thank you.